Hello, just a very quick demo here of the power of Windows Virtual Desktop. Now the reason I'm doing this is my laptop packed up over the weekend, and hence I've been connecting to my Windows 10 VDI that's running in Azure, orchestrated by Windows Virtual Desktop. Now the first thing you'll notice is this is connected up to a 43-inch TV, so quite happily driving a large display. And in addition, this is the full Windows 10 rich user experience that we're accustomed to now. Now, as you would imagine, all of my apps work exactly as you would expect them to. So I've got access to my mailbox there. I'm able to put a Word document together, as well as building out some slides in PowerPoint, and actually putting some pricing together for this very virtual machine, in fact. And in addition to that, I have full access to my OneDrive. So here's my OneDrive with a files on demand capability there. So that's all great, but absolutely nothing new, I hear you say. So what is new? What new capabilities come from WVD and Azure? Well, if you've been following the announcements from Microsoft, you will more than likely have heard of this new feature of Windows Virtual Desktop called Windows 10 Enterprise for Virtual Desktops, or Windows 10 Multi-Session. And what that then enables is to have multiple users simultaneously logged on to this very same Windows 10 VM. Now, this has never been possible before up until this time. So if I just run up a command prompt and put in query user, what you shall see is that I have multiple users logged on to the very same Windows 10 VM there. Now, if you have been following the announcements, you will also be aware that this is perhaps nothing new. You've run up the preview and seen this capability. So what in addition does Azure bring to this type of workload? Well, let me just fire up this one application here. So this virtual machine is actually an NV6 VM, and that means it has an NVIDIA Tesla M60 GPU card inside of it, which enables me to run up some graphics intensive applications. If I just run Task Manager here, what you shall see is that this app is stressing out that GPU quite extensively. So this is really quite a compelling use case for bespoke users such as graphics designers. And this virtual machine took all of about 6 minutes to deploy. So very quickly I can get productive if I was a graphics designer. Now again, that's perhaps nothing new. We've had NV6 VMs for quite some time. So the additional thing here is that this virtual machine is actually located approximately 5,000 miles away from where I am. So I'm in the UK, and this is running in our south central US region. Which is, like I said, approaching 5,000 miles away. And as you can see, this is a pretty good user experience. There's no sort of discernible latency on this. So quite a good user experience, and I'd be happy working on this. So the final thing to say on this VM is actually the price. So like I said, this is an NV6 VM, which is actually costing me roughly 45 pence per hour. Now, as I've got 10 users connected to me, to this VM, I should say, this is, if I was to create a price per user, it would be 0.45 pence per hour. And this VM is actually spec'd to host approximately 36 users as a maximum. So if I was to create a more accurate price per user for the maximum users connected, it would be coming in as 0.013 pence per hour. So quite a compelling price point for this virtual machine. So the final thing to say is, like I said at the beginning, my laptop's packed up. So how am I actually connecting to this virtual machine? Well, I'm doing so through this Samsung S10 running Samsung DeX. And what that is just this single HDMI cable going into the back of my monitor that enables me then to run the remote desktop client. So if I come out of my VDI, what you shall see here is this is the remote desktop client that I've launched from the Samsung DeX Desktop OS, which is here, and you'll notice it also supports Citrix Workspace, but I've launched the remote desktop client, which has brought me into all of my apps as well as my desktops that I've got published to me, which is where I've launched that from. Now, for anyone who's kind of followed this type of capability in the past, you might remember a device called the Motorola Atrix. Now, this did exactly the same type of capability, but it required this rather large dock. Now, what that meant is that users typically didn't want to carry that around with their device as well as the cables required. And so they got left on the desktop, which meant that whilst having the mobile phone was a true mobile experience, connecting into their VDI was then meant that they were tied to their desk, which really wasn't a true mobile experience. You may also remember that Microsoft improved on this with the Microsoft Continuum, but again, it kind of suffered the same problem in that there was a piece of hardware that was required, which could be quite clunky to carry around with. Whereas what this Samsung DeX requires is just one single cable to carry around, so nothing particularly onerous there. And if I just joined my Bluetooth devices up to that phone, what that enables is me to just use a single mouse, and in this case a small Microsoft keyboard, meaning that all I need to carry around with me to do my day job or connecting to my VDI is just to carry around those devices, which is not particularly onerous. So there's just the power then of the combination of Azure, Windows Virtual Desktop, and in this case the Samsung DeX device acting as a thin client. Hope you enjoyed that. Thank you very much.